Somewhere off the coast of a small Greek island, a man is asleep on a raft. He has no idea that he still has years to go before he sees his wife again. He fought at Troy. The war ended, and then one god in particular decided his trip home should take way longer than the war itself did. This is the story of that trip. 10 years, a handful of strange islands, a few monsters, and one very patient woman back in Ithaca. Working on a piece of weaving, she quietly undoes every night so she never actually has to finish it. This whole story comes from an ancient Greek poem called the Odyssey. It's usually credited to a poet named Homer, who most historians place somewhere around the 8th century BCE, though nobody actually knows for sure. Some scholars think Homer was one real person. Others think the name got attached to centuries of stories that different poets told out loud, long before anyone wrote them down. Either way, what survived is one of the oldest stories still being read anywhere in the world. And it doesn't start at the beginning. It starts right after the Trojan War has already ended, with the fighting done and everyone just trying to get home. Chapter 1. The war ends and a real trouble starts. Troy falls. The Greek ships pack up and head home. Odysseus, king of a small island called Ithaca, is one of them. In most versions of the story, a storm splits his ships off from everyone else almost right away. His first stop is the land of the lotus eaters. His men eat a strange fruit there and just stop caring about anything, including going home. Odysseus has to physically drag them back to the ships. That's not a figure of speech. He actually ties some of them down. Then comes the Cyclops. One giant eye, a huge body, a shepherd named Polyphemus who traps Odysseus and his crew inside his cave and starts eating them, a couple of men at a time, over a couple of days. Odysseus gets him drunk on wine, tells him his name is Nobody, and then stabs out his one eye while he's asleep. When Polyphemus screams for help, he yells that nobody is hurting him, so none of his neighbors bother showing up. It's a smart escape, but it costs him. Polyphemus turns out to be the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. And Poseidon never forgets it. That's the moment that costs him. Right there, shouting his real name back at the Cyclops as the ship pulls away. That's what turns the rough trip home into a 10-year nightmare. Chapter 2. A bag full of wind and a witch who turns man into pigs. Next, the god of the winds, a man named Aeolus, actually tries to help. He hands Odysseus a bag holding every wind except the one gentle breeze they need to sail home. Ithaca comes into view. Then his crew, thinking the bag is hidden treasure, opens it while he is asleep. Every wind inside blasts out at once. The storm blows them right back to where they started. Then there's Circe. She is a minor goddess who lives alone on an island. And she turns Odysseus' men into pigs using a drink and a touch of her wand. It's kind of on the nose if you think about it. Men acting like animals, so the story just goes ahead and makes it literal. Odysseus resists her spell with help from the god Hermes, forces Circe to change his man back, and then ends up staying on her island for a full year. A whole year. That part matters because the poem doesn't rush past it either. Not everything that slowed him down was a monster or a storm. Some of it was just staying somewhere comfortable for too long. Chapter 3. A visit to the land of the dead. Circe eventually tells him where he has to go next, and it's not a shortcut, it's the underworld, the land of the dead. Odysseus sails to the edge of the world, according to the poem, and talks with the dead there. He meets the blind prophet Tiresias, who tells him how to get home and warns him not to touch the cattle belonging to the sun god once he reaches a certain island later on. He meets his own mother, who died of grief while he was away, and he tries 3 times to hug her. Each time, his arms just pass right through her. He also runs into old friends from the war at Troy. Achilles is there, and he says something people still quote nearly 3,000 years later, that he would rather be a poor farmhand alive on earth than a king ruling over all the dead. In a story full of gods and monsters, that's the line most people remember. Chapter 4: Sirens, a 6-headed monster, and a deadly whirlpool. Back above ground, things keep getting dangerous. The sirens sing a song that lures sailors straight into the rocks. Odysseus wants to hear the song without dying, so he has his crew stuff their ears with wax and tie him tightly to the mast, telling them not to untie him no matter how much he begs. He hears the song. He survives. In the old stories, nobody else manages that. Right after, he has to choose between 2 dangers: Scylla, a 6-headed monster that snatches sailors right off the deck, or Charybdis, a whirlpool big enough to swallow the whole ship. On Circe's advice, he picks Scylla, because losing a few men is better than losing everyone. He loses 6 of them. Then his crew, starving and desperate, ignores the warning from Tiresias and eats the sacred cattle belonging to the sun god Helios, while Odysseus is asleep. Helios is furious about it. Zeus sends a storm that wrecks the ship and kills every single man on board except Odysseus. Now he's completely alone. Chapter 5: 7 years with a goddess and the long road home. He washes up on the island of a nymph named Calypso, who keeps him there for 7 years. Some versions say he stays willingly at first, others describe it more like being held captive. Either way, 7 out of his 10 lost years happened right here. Eventually, the gods step in. Zeus sends Hermes to order Calypso to let him go, and Odysseus builds a raft and finally sails for home. One more shipwreck later, he lands on the island of the Phaeacians, who listen to his whole story and finally give him safe passage the rest of the way to Ithaca. But home isn't safe either. While he has been gone, more than 100 suitors have moved into his palace. They're eating his food and trying to marry his wife, Penelope, assuming he's dead. Penelope has been stalling all of them for years, famously working on a burial shroud during the day and secretly undoing her own work at night, so she never has to finish it and choose a new husband. Odysseus shows up disguised as a beggar, quietly tests who in his household is still loyal to him, and then, with his son Telemachus and a couple of trusted servants, kills every one of the suitors inside his own great hall. Penelope, still careful even now, tests him herself before she will believe it's really him. She asks him about their bed, something only the real Odysseus would know was built around a living olive tree and can't be moved. He answers correctly. 20 years after he first left for Troy, 10 of them spent just trying to get home. He's finally back. The poem doesn't linger long after that. A man returns, his household is set right again, and outside, The sea just keeps doing what it has always done, not caring one bit how long the trip took.